Hey guys, welcome back to another mind test tutorial. We're going to be continuing our conversation about Lua controllers. Let's get started. Alright, let's start by clicking the mind test icon on our desktop taskbar. Select the World 2021. Make sure you're on the Start Game tab. Then click Play Game. Last time we left off, we were talking about greifer traps and how to use a Lua controller to kind of as like a trigger. As soon as the trigger gets tripped, it activates and then it won't be reset until you show up and you free them, or you free them and then shoot them. I don't know. So this is kind of a fun little thing you can mess around with. Now, switches are fine and dandy, but today I want to take a second to talk to you about the various other nodes that are available and kind of what they do. So in VOC, we have available a greater number of these, which you can explore at your own leisure when I get the server up. But these are the basic concepts that you should. Each of these nodes holds kind of a basic concept of all the other ones, which expound on those functionalities. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clear my inventory just so that I don't, so that it's just easier for me. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and let's start with some of these, some of these more familiar items. Maybe not a power plant, but a torch is probably more familiar to you. And then we'll kind of move on to some of these other ones that are more mind test specific. So here we have the first one is a humble switch. Now I'm gonna move away from the Lua controller for a second because I just want to demonstrate the functionality of each of these items. So here's a switch, and it's just like I guess it's called a lever. But the lever is wall mounted. It turns on and off just like you would expect, and it sends a signal. Now to wire up that signal, it's a little bit different. See, it kind of goes up and then over. Now the nice thing about this is that it will actually go through the wall. If I break this Mesecon, and just add some dirt here so that the switch is kind of on the wall, if you will, and then I put Mesecon, you can see that it actually connects, and so you can send a signal through a wall. So that's just something nice to know about when you're designing and building in the world. You don't have to have wires exposed to a switch. And here's the torch, right? You all kind of know how a torch works. If you place it near the item, it turns on. And why we would want that? Well, you can use this as a signal source, and you just have to be able to move it. You got to be able to move this torch somehow, and we will get into how you can move that later. Here is a power plant. It simply turns just like the other one. It turns it's a signal source, so it's just an on signal source. This though, now that brings us to the blinky plant. The blinky plant is a on-off source, so it's just a signal that is cyclical, and it turns on-off at a certain rate, a fixed rate. I believe that is every second. So you can integrate that with your design in some way. It's very, very common to be used. Very handy tool. Oh, and you can see I turned it off. So if you right-click, I believe it's right-click, yes, it'll turn it on or off. So that's just, it has some sort of, you're able to control it to a certain extent. Okay, so moving right along, let's talk about the solar panel. If it is light outside, it will send a signal and turn the light on. Fantastic. Very simple. Easy to understand. Now, the last input that I can think of, well, it's not the last one, but it's the only one that I think is last one that's worth mentioning, is the button. So this is a momentary button. You turn it on. It'll turn on for a certain period of time and then turn off. Same with the lever. It can be activated through the wall, so you can run your messe through the wall, and you don't have to see any wires. Okay, brief overview of Messe wires. Here we have these, and they're nice. They snap together. This is the humble Messe wire. Problem is, let's say you want to have another strand of wire right next to it. It will connect, which is nice in this that you don't have to try to get it to connect and all, but that can be troublesome at times. And that brings us to the insulated wires, which I can barely see, but I'm just going to add some of those to my inventory here, and we can mess around with these. Okay, so we got the straight Messe wire, which will connect just fine. It's just what if you point it, it's depending on the way that you're facing, it will place. So that just bear that in mind as you're trying to get it to connect. So yes, you can connect to a Messe signal, but it will not jump across the side on its side. Now, as a result of that, let's say you want to go this direction. Well, these are not going to connect. So you have to use the angles and whatnot that are provided in the Mesecons mod. So that helps keep things tidy and allows you to have multiple signals in a closer area. So that's the two methods. Well, actually, there's one more. To get information to go up, you can use your regular Messe wire and kind of go like a staircase, up and up and up. But you can also use this one, which is vertical Messe, and it simply goes up. My goodness, I missed the humble pressure plate. So the pressure plate, of course, it works by contact. If somebody steps on it, then it will turn on. And that reminds me of some other outputs, some other nodes that output information. One of them is called a player detector. So this one here detects a person. If you move away from it, it will turn off. If you click on it, there are several different options for entering player names. So name of player to scan for, you can specify yourself, and then the trap doesn't go off if you're near it or your friends. I think you can separate it by names by comma or space, not sure. This is important down here, Digital Line channel, but we're not going to get into that just yet. I'll probably have a whole class on a set of lessons on Digiline and how to use them. Okay, so here we have what's called a node detector. Now, it's important to know the difference between a node and an item. I don't know if there is an item detector in here or not, but at any rate, this detects nodes. So this is an excellent way of finding whether your crop has grown to completion or not. And something I haven't gone over yet, but it's fairly simple to understand, is as you see in right here, yes, my HUD, just above it, right there, is some information. That information tells me what I am looking at, and that is the technical name of the node that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at default dirt underscore with underscore grass. So that's important for this guy here, because you can say, if I want to specifically look for that, default dirt underscore with underscore grass, and at some sort of distance, let's say 2, I can save it, and it's not detecting it. I think that's because I either have typed something wrong, or it has to be out in front of it instead of kind of a radius around it. So I'm going to switch that to dirt, which I have somewhere here, or now I do. And now we can plop down a bit of dirt, and it should detect it. It's not. At any rate, I can't seem to get it to work, so we're moving right along. Okay, let's talk about some outputs here. Let's grab a blinky plant, and down here are some pistons. Let's grab a sticky and a regular, and jump over here to the to this over here. I'm going to throw my piston down, and it's positional depending on how you are, where you are located and how you're placing it. It will place in different directions, so bear that in mind. And if I throw this thing down here, which is it's a signal sender, right? So it's that torch, and I activate my piston, which that may or may not work. Yeah, I didn't think it would. Gotta go out of the side. And what will happen? Well, just so happens that the piston will push whatever's in front of it over. It'll push a certain distance, so at some point it stops pushing items because it can't handle the load. But and it moves this torch in front of the light, and hence the typical application of a torch. Let's break this piston and place a sticky. Now, the sticky, nice thing about it is that it grabs whatever's in front of it and it will move it. So this is one way, this is a very elaborate and cumbersome way of turning a block on or off. Okay, so let's break that up here. Now, there's another item that I want to talk to you about, and that is called the Movestone. This guy here, depending on the way that you place the signal, will move. Now, it doesn't come back. There's regular and there's sticky, just like a piston. It's the same concept. And if you place it on these sides, there's these arrows. So if a signal enters this side, the block will move that way. If a signal enters this side, the block will move this way, and so on and so forth. It will not move up or down. Now, I'm sure that if you rotate it into another position, it will go up. So the uses of this, I haven't used it a whole lot, but I will say it could be extremely handy if you want to get very, very clever with some stuff. Okay, last two that I want to cover, and then we're out of here, is the note block. So the note block, depending on where you place it, what you place it on, it will make a noise. So mess around with that. Check out the signals. Check out, there's some documentation online which describes all the different things, capabilities, so you don't have to exactly figure that all out on your own. Now, the last one I want you to see is the command block. Now, this is an incredible block that gives you chat capabilities, not just chatting with other players, but it gives you the ability to run chat commands. So if you're admin, this is a great way to set your time of day all the time. So here, I've written time 6000 in here. Now, you don't have to write the /, the first one, because if you're doing world edit commands, you'll have to have two, so you have to include one. But in the command block for all the default commands, just leave that / off. And here you can see that I've written time 6000. So every single time this command block is run, it runs one of the chat commands, any chat commands that you put in there, and it drops the sun down to a certain location. Very, very powerful. Here you can see that tell at nearest. Well, this at nearest, and it gives some explanation here. At nearest, at farthest, and at random are replaced by the representative player names. So at nearest means that if you get near this block and it activates, it can do something to you. It can teleport you. It can write something in your chat. It can talk to you in a sense by giving you information, whatever. So this is a very fun block to mess around with. Again, it is like the Lua controller, immense possibilities. You just got to learn the different commands. It's different from the Lua controller in that you're not running necessarily Lua, but chat commands in the command block. Hence the name chat commands and command block. Right? So, okay, sorry, this is a very long movie, but I hope that you're able to get something, get ideas from this that then you can apply to be more creative with the projects that we have with the Lua controller. Thanks for watching.